Hi everyone, I am Carla the Cosmic Crone, and it's time for Dark Goddess Astrology, the Aries Full Moon Edition. It's so good to be back with you. It's been a foggy, fascinating, unexpected several weeks. The last moon cycle, we had a moon near, the new moon was very close to the equinox, which was a major event in my life, the gathering of matriarchs, which I attended, and which is still reverberating inside of me. And some other powerful things, I can't even remember how far back, but what's happening, this week, unexpected big life changes with a friend that I am participating in. And today has been like a day back to my normal life. Yesterday, an extraordinary, lovely session with a mentoring client, a woman who's learning astrology with me, and another session today with a dark goddess astrology client. And what's incredibly exciting is that doors are opening to initiation soon, Lilith initiation, a 6-month initiation which taps into astrology as a diagnostic and resource tool. But we go so much further, so much beyond astrology. It's like the doors that astrology opens, we walk through them and we go down, 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 and we meet the dark goddess and we learn from her. And this moon, as I pondered this full moon, which is happening on Sunday at 4:55 p.m. in my time zone, I pondered, what is this chart telling me? And I realized that first off, looking at this chart in connection with my natal chart, there are a lot of personal messages for me. So that's something to keep in mind if you would like to understand your own dark goddess astrology, being able to relate what's happening in the sky right now to your own astrological blueprint, or call it array of ancestors. I look at planets like ancestors or angelic beings. They are living, breathing entities that are using the planets to talk to us and using the information on the chart. And astrology is complex and wonderful that way. So yeah, hit me up. I'll put the link in the comments if you would like to experience your own dark goddess reading. And it's not just a reading, it's actually 2 sessions with the work that happens in between. So wonderful. And what's happening with the moon? Well, the full moon is at 1633 Aries, and the sun is at 1633 Libra. And I realize the biggest message around this moon is the energy of the planets around the sun and around the moon. So if I could focus on that, you will get what you need from this moon reading. And there's more happening, obviously, but as I stated in the title here, this is a teacher moon, a healer moon, and that's Chiron. The moon is conjunct Chiron, just, a couple of hours before the full moon, in the late afternoon, the moon will cross Chiron in the sky. And it will activate. The moon is emotion and intuition. It is that deep, watery, changeable, wise part of ourselves that defies logic, that isn't always understood by the mind, but we feel it in our bodies, we feel it in our emotions, We weep, we dance, we cry, we scream, we laugh. Hopefully you can allow both your emotion and your intuition to move through your body. And when Chiron is right there with the moon, Chiron is saying, heal that part of yourself. If you are suppressing your emotions, because my mother used to say, if I start saying what I feel, I'll never stop. She was frightened. And I inherited that. I said, as a teenager, I said, I will never be like that. But then as I became an adult and a mother and kind of overwhelmed by responsibilities, I sort of became that person. I got to keep a lid on this or I'm going to lose it. And then where will we be? So Chiron is saying, you're okay, I gotcha. You can feel what you feel. You can express what you need to express. And more than anything else, you can listen to your inner guidance and trust yourself. And in fact, the tough part of Chiron as healer, teacher, mentor is if you don't do it, there will be consequences. If you're not listening to your intimate intuition, walk blindly into things that you know aren't good for you. Pay attention to the niggles, the red flags, the don't go there's, do go here's. Listen to that. And if you do not know how to listen to it, if you cannot trust yourself, if you're so disconnected from your body, your feelings, your intuition, then get some help on that. Heal the disconnect. It's vital, it's necessary. And this full moon is a wonderful time to begin to assess that in yourself. What do you feel? Especially in Aries. Aries is kind of a hothead. A young, impetuous, youngest first, the initiatory sign of the zodiac. So Aries, sometimes we think of Aries like the Fool, the zero card in the Tarot, the major arcana of the Tarot. Zero. How can a card be number 0? Well, think Coyote, think Heyoka, think the trickster. 0 is nothing and it's everything. You want more money? Add a 0. The more zeros you add at the end, on the correct side of the decimal point, of course, the more you've got. 0 expands exponentially. And it also goes into the place of emptiness, of cleanliness, of clarity. When I say cleanliness, I mean that emptying out of, everything, the purging. When we are not living openly, embodied with our emotions and our intuition, we get very gunky inside. Truth becomes obscured. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we want. We don't know how to get it. We don't know our next step. All we can get is the sticky, icky, gunky self-judgment, lack of trust, looking around the outside for answers, for a clue. Help me with a clue, please. So in Aries, we get to drop into 0. It's like a laser. You penetrate the gunk and drop right down into the center of the earth, into the core of your being. Oh, that could be scary. Or it could feel really good. Or both. So this full moon, this weekend, find time to explore that youthful, clown-like, trickster part of yourself. Look for the universe and Chiron to play with you, to bring you synchronicities and surprises and the unexpected. I'm looking here. Yes, Uranus and Taurus are in a square, so that's part of the energy that's around. Yeah, Uranus and Taurus and Saturn and Aries are in a square. So if you need a kick in the butt to get into your intuition, to activate your inner Chiron, to open up to your emotions, then you got help. There's somebody around who might kick you, energetically speaking. And who knows, you showing up as yourself in your full authenticity, saying what needs to be said, feeling what needs to be felt, doing what needs to be done, you could be somebody else's kick in the butt. And they may or may not like it. But guess what? They don't have to. That's none of your business. So across from the moon is the sun. And the sun is in an exact conjunction with Psyche, and is in a very close conjunction with Venus. Well, what do these planets tell us? Psyche she doesn't really have Aries energy, but she has some of the issues that we talked about with the moon. She's highly resonant with this full moon energy that we're talking about, because she represents the maiden about to embark upon the initiation path. But before she does, she has to screw up a lot. Psyche, as the myth goes, is the hapless maiden who is incredibly beautiful, so beautiful that Eros himself fell in love with her and married her secretly even from her. Wow, what a metaphor that is. So they would meet at night in the marriage bed for extraordinary lovemaking, but she was never allowed to look on his face. It had to be complete darkness. And since Venus is here on the other side of the sun, literally on the other side of the sun from Earth, but in the chart, Venus is moving towards her exact conjunction with the sun, whereas Psyche is just beginning to complete that conjunction. And Psyche and Venus are part of the same story, because Venus hated that her son chose Psyche. Jealous, rageful, jealous of Psyche's beauty and youth and the love of the sun. There's a little weird stuff going on there. But you know, what mother-in-law hasn't had those moments? So in a way, it's kind of typical, archetypical mother-in-law stuff between Venus and Psyche. And okay, here's the initiation. Psyche gets into trouble because she's asking everyone around her, what should she do about her husband? He doesn't want to be, she doesn't know who he is. And she's asking sisters and cousins and friends, and they're all saying, well, he could be a monster. This isn't fair. You really need to find out. Take a candle and look at him one night after he falls asleep. And so hapless Psyche takes this very terrible advice after she vowed, she agreed to the terms prior to the marriage. And she listens to this bad advice, and she takes a candle in to look upon her husband's face. And she is so stunned by his beauty, and perhaps she recognizes him as Eros, the god, that she drops the candle and spills candle wax on him, and he burns, and he wakes up, and he's like, okay, we're done, we're through, and he's gone. And she is bereft. And Venus steps in. She's got Psyche where she wants her. And here comes the initiation. Psyche is given by Venus 3 impossible tasks, one after the other. And Psyche, must complete these tasks or she will die the next morning. She's got one night. Interesting how all the interesting stuff happens at night, in the dream time, in the darkness. So I don't remember exactly what all the tasks are, but there are 3 impossible tasks. And Psyche says, well, I guess I'm dead. I'll never get this, each one. This one, I'll never get it done. And she discovers that she has a helper inside. And this helper is her intuition, her inner knowing. And it is represented in the story by magical beings, animals or insects or energies that communicate how to get out of her predicament from Psyche. And so she shows up with Venus, task 1 complete. Well, Venus is rightly pissed off and says, well, here's one, try this, you'll never make this one. So off, same thing, woe is me, how will I ever complete this task? Well, here comes her intuition, and Psyche discovers there's a very easy way to tap into her inner resource, her help, and complete the task. And again, Venus is like, what? You're still here? All right, here's one. You'll never get this. I've got you now. No, Psyche's getting the hang of it. There must be a way out of this. I don't know how it's going to work. Help me out here. And her intuition comes through, and she solves the challenge easily. And shows up the next day, and Venus is like, one more. And there is a magical beauty elixir, a cosmetic of some kind, that Venus gets from some impossible, dangerous place. And she sends Psyche to get it for her, thinking she'll never make it. Well, not only does Psyche get it, but she tries it on. She uses it. She uses the goddess's magic to become like the goddess. And Psyche completes her initiation by returning to Venus, and Venus instantly recognizes that she has what she's done, and yet rather than being angry, she acknowledges the truth that this hapless young maiden is now tapped into her goddess nature. And Eros says, oh, will you come back? I want you for my wife. And so Psyche becomes part of the household of the goddess. So this is happening across in Libra, happens to be a 7th house sun, according to this Pisces rising sign. See, so we've got multiples. Venus is in Libra. We'll talk about Venus in a minute. Venus is in Libra, the sun is in Libra. The full moon is on the Libra Aries axis, and both of them happen to be in the 7th house of this particular chart. So we have Venus energy now amplified. And romance, love, attraction, love story, possibly helped along by this Chiron, Moon, Aries, Heyoka, intuition. I don't know how this is going to work, but holy crap, it works. Kind of energy. So we've got teacher, mentor, healer, initiation, and love. Love is expansive. There are so many. Love means so many things. But when Venus is around, well, it means all the things. Venus means the love that keeps the world turning, that keeps the planets in their courses, to use a really kind of medieval concept. Also stands for the love between your legs, the erotic love that is orgasmic and pleasurable and that we all long for, that seals and amplifies and nourishes a relationship or a soul or a self. You don't have to have a partner to receive that nourishment of Venus love and pleasure and orgasm. And it also stands for abundance, being able to receive, to attract, to create beauty. So all of the things that make life worth living, all of the things that are part of our natural world, part of our natural role within the world, to be sexual, to have an erotic relationship with divine, to have an erotic relationship with the earth, to be able to work and play with the elements to create what we want. That's magic. And the love, the altruism, the values that say, what I desire for myself, I desire for all. And when I have it for myself, I amplify having it for all. Venus is also values. So her dark side, the dark side that is the jealous goddess who would have destroyed Psyche if she could, but then ultimately acknowledges her and embraces her as a member of the family. We have that going on at this moon. We have our shadows. We have that part of us that rejects and envies and despises and disowns. And we have that part of us that can embrace all of it. And that is your work at the full moon this weekend. Embrace all of yourself. Tune in to your emotions, your intuition, which may have been repressed. It may not have been valued. It may have been educated or trained out of you. You may have spent so much of your life second-guessing yourself that you no longer know your own truth or your own desire. But Venus is here to remind you. Psyche is here to show you how to step into that portal of initiation, how to trust the process, to trust your inner knowing. The moon is here to amplify your feelings, your intuition. Listen to it. It lights your way in the dark when nothing else makes sense. And Chiron is here to say, you're not doing this alone. If you keep walking, I will show you the way. If you believe that your healing is possible, I will show you where to find the medicine. I will guide you to the medicine. I think I'm going to stop it right there. I look forward to seeing you in Dark Goddess Astrology, and it's good to be with you today. Blessed full moon.